Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
Dominic sent me an interesting story out of Canada. They've put up no barking signs at a dog park in Montreal. And of course, this has unleashed the fury from pet owners who attend that dog park. This is from CTV News, and Joe LaFaro wrote this. But if you know anything about dogs, dogs bark. It's what they do. And the thing about it is that while dogs will occasionally be well-behaved and perhaps even respond to commands, dogs still kind of have a mind of their own. And I like dogs. I love dogs. In fact, at the end of every single video to this day, it still says, "Remember Milo and Wolfie" in the end credits. I did a video about who they were, but they were two dogs I had for a long time, Shetland sheepdogs. And they weren't incessant barkers, but they'd bark. And they usually bark to let me know something. Milo would bark to let me know that somebody was at the front door. Wolfie would bark to let me know that a school bus had driven by the house. Now, Wolfie would also bark at his own reflection in the glass at the front of the bank in town when I took him for walks through town. But the point is that they didn't just bark constantly. And of course, there are situations where people have got dogs that bark constantly that can be annoying. I've had neighbors who had dogs that just barked all day long, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, seemingly. So the question is, when a dog park puts up a no barking sign, first of all, do they really expect the dogs to read that? I mean, come on. Number two, I saw the sign, it was in French. And I don't think my dogs read French. So maybe in Montreal they do. Some Montreal dog owners were stunned this week to learn the dog park they've been taking their dogs to has suddenly outlawed barking. Violators could be fined between $500 and $2,000, according to a new sign posted on the gate to the park in Montreal's St. Leonard borough. The sign stipulates that it is forbidden to let your dog bark, whine, or howl. So it's kind of like those no stopping, no standing signs. You cannot have your dog bark, whine, or howl. They got all three of those. Now, one dog owner they interviewed says it's too much. It's really too much. I know it's to scare people, but it's not fair. It's stressful, to be honest. I'm always looking around to see if my dog is doing good. She's not barking too much. No, it's not fun anymore. So the borough confirmed to CTV News that while the sign is new, the bylaw is not. The sign refers to an article in the City of Montreal's bylaw on the control of domestic animals. The sign was intended to help reduce the nuisance experienced by the neighborhood of this dog park, says a spokesperson for the borough in an email. Dog owners said that they couldn't believe the city would ban barking at a dog park and say it's natural for dogs to bark while playing. One dog owner says, "My first reaction was, what? It's kind of ironic to see that we should prohibit our dogs from barking. It's their way of communicating with each other. And there are some instances where they're obviously going to bark." Now, in March, the city of Toronto installed similar no barking signs at St. Andrew's Dog Park, but removed them after public outrage. The St. Leonard Borough did not answer several questions about the rule, such as who will enforce it. Dog owners are also looking for more answers, including why the city did not consult them first. I can tell you with no hesitation that the people that come here are quite responsible with their dogs. So if we see a dog barking for more than 10 seconds, we're going to intervene. We're going to see what's going on. The borough said it is working on other measures at the dog park, including a new fence or hedges to perhaps limit the noise and making the fence opaque. Some dog owners interviewed at the park on Friday said such measures are appropriate, but the barking rule is not. And that's the story. And so, there's a bunch going on there. And like I said, I had dogs. And dogs do bark. That's what they do. Now, I've also known people who had dogs that they didn't control and they just barked all the time. And so the real question is what's going on at a dog park? Because if the dog is in your own backyard, that's different. If the dog's inside your house, that's different. But when you go to a dog park, obviously there's going to be a bunch of dogs there, and some dogs do bark upon seeing other dogs. And now I'm curious about this, and if anybody in the audience brings their dog to a dog park, please let me know. I never brought Milo and Wolfie to dog parks. Number one, there were no dog parks near where we lived. But number two, I don't know that I would have, because both Milo and Wolfie, although they had grown accustomed to each other, didn't care for other dogs. And so taking them to dog parks, I think, would have been torture. They'd be like, "Steve, why are you doing this to us? We don't like other dogs." We are relatively antisocial when it comes to other dogs. We don't want to be here. And I suspect it would have turned into a barking and snapping fest where, dogs that bark and then they snap at each other. I suspect it would have become that way. Now, I know people who go, no, my dog, and I've known a couple people who said, no, go to dog parks. And my dogs like playing with other people's dogs. And so they go out there and they run around and have all kinds of fun. But the problem I have, and this is the question, and again, this is partly me as a lawyer and partly me as a former dog owner, that my biggest question is, you go to a dog park and it's enclosed. So you go, okay, I can take my dog and let my dog off the leash and the dog can run around and play with other dogs. Not all dogs play well with others. And so what happens when your dog runs up and surprises another dog, and before that owner can control that dog, it bites your dog? That's got to happen every single day, someplace in America at a dog park, or in Canada at a dog park. I have to imagine almost every single day. And there have got to be disputes that arise where people say, I brought my dog to the dog park and it was attacked by this other dog. And the other dog owner says, no, I brought my dog to the dog park and it got attacked by this other dog and it had to bite the other dog in self-defense. And those kinds of disputes are always one of the things that I had in the back of my mind, that despite the fact that I could have brought Mile and Wolfie to a dog park and said, guys, learn to deal with other dogs. I didn't, because I thought, what's going to happen when my dog gets bitten? Because number one, I know I got to take care of the bill immediately, and then can I come back and ask the other person for contribution? I mean, they're going to go, no, your dog attacked mine. And so no one's ever going to say, oh, by the way, I'm so sorry that my dog attacked yours for absolutely no reason. Sorry about that. No, they're not going to say that. They're going to go, your dog attacked mine. And so we all know how dogs are unless somebody videotaped it. It's quite possible that a dog this big attacked a St. Bernard. That's quite possible. I've seen dogs that didn't understand those size differences. So that's what I'm most curious about. But I know dog parks are becoming a big thing, especially in cities where, let's suppose you live in an apartment in New York and you want to walk your dog. And I mean, you'll see people walking their dogs on the streets of New York where there's nothing but pavement. And that's got to be, I don't know. I mean, dogs usually like to do their business on grass, I always thought. I mean, city dogs, maybe they learn to deal with that. But so if there's a dog park nearby, you can imagine that, well, okay, that makes a lot of sense to take your dog there. But again, do you take your dog to the dog park and keep your dog on a leash so it doesn't run off and get bitten by another dog? Well, if the other dogs are off leashes, they'll run over to check out your dog. I mean, so it's madness, these dogs running around. I, again, have nothing against dog parks. I'm more curious about what happens when there are dog interactions that don't end well, because it must happen. But meanwhile, there's a dog park in Montreal with a sign that says no barking. No barking. And that's the other real thing here, is no barking versus occasional or intermittent barking. Because I don't think you could actually go with a zero tolerance on barking. And so to put up a sign that says no barking, I don't know. That seems to me to be unenforceable. What if someone stepped on your dog's paw and it barked? It yelped. It whined. Because they say that your dog can't bark, whine, or howl. So someone steps on your dog's foot and it whines, and there's actually a law enforcement officer there says, oh, your dog barked. Now you're going to say, Steve, that would be extreme. I'm simply pointing out that there's always these edges you got to look at what could possibly happen. So I can see where the sign could say uncontrolled dogs or dogs that are acting in a way that is dangerous to others or a nuisance to others. And so, yeah, if somebody brought their dog to the dog park at 5 a.m. and they're doing the old thing where they're going, speak, and every time it barked, they toss it a cookie. I can see where somebody's going to go, okay, that's too much, right? So that's the one end. The other end is the dog barks because it's actually in pain. So simply having a no barking blanket rule does seem a bit much. So we'll see what happens, because they've tried this in other cities. The signs were taken down. Here the sign is still up. Joe LaFaro wrote that for CTV News. Dominic sent it. Thanks a lot. No barking sign at Montreal Dog Park unleashes fury from pet owners. Questions or comments? Put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. Sorry I'm late. Traffic is exactly how it's been every day for the past 5 years, and I was not expecting that.